They say it takes over 10,000 hours to truly master a subject. Well, I've taken over 10,000 photos with the Ricoh GR IIIx. If you're thinking about picking one up, or you're just curious what it's like to carry one around every day, here are my thoughts after 10,000 shots. Let's do it. This is the reason I picked the GR IIIx in the first place. Portability. It fits in my pocket, like literally. Jeans, a jacket, hoodie, whatever. And because of that, it's always with me. And when a camera is always with you, well, you actually use it. I've taken some of my favorite shots just because this camera was in my pocket when something happened. Stuff that I would have missed if I had to waste time taking out my big camera or if I just didn't bring a camera at all. There's also something kind of magical about having a real camera with you that doesn't demand attention. I've taken candid portraits of friends and strangers that feel more natural than the ones shot on my bigger gear, all because people don't feel intimidated in front of the camera. And since it doesn't scream, "I'm a photographer," you can keep it pretty low-key in places where we typically might feel self-conscious about using a camera. That makes it sound like I'm taking creepy photos. Don't take creepy photos. Now, the downside about all of that pocket time? Dust. Because there's no lens cap, it's really easy for dust to sneak in and get on the sensor. It's not a deal breaker, but if you're really picky about clean images, you'll want to learn how to somehow take this thing apart and clean the sensor, or get used to sending it in every so often. I personally carry the camera in a little sling that I have just because it fits perfectly and I can keep it nice and clean without all of the lint and stuff that's usually in my pockets. The GR IIIx2 is proof that portability doesn't mean you have to compromise. You hear that? Size doesn't matter. Especially for a small camera, the image out of the APS-C camera holds up really well. It shoots both RAW and JPEG, and they both stand up great against other cameras. The custom profiles for shooting are probably some of my favorite features because they're super customizable and you can tweak them to the settings you like. They're similar to the Fujifilm ones, but a little bit more low-key. I like using these presets because it allows me to shoot in JPEG and not have to worry about editing the photos later on. And on the off chance that you might want to edit the photos, there's a setting that allows you to shoot in JPEG and RAW. It bakes the preset right into the JPEG, and if you don't like it, you can then just edit the RAW photo later on. Now, I have to say that this thing is definitely a low-light monster. Not in a good way, more so in the sense that it is scared of low light. It is awful when it's dark. After sunset, I would just put this camera away and forget about it until the next day. Pictures at night get super grainy, the camera has a hard time focusing, and it's not worth it. Don't do it. Battery-wise, it's pretty good. I've never really had any issues, and a battery charge usually lasts me through an entire day. I know some people who are taking a ton of photos will carry around an extra battery with them, but it charges super easy with a USB cord, so that's awesome. Now, something that kind of came in clutch that I wasn't expecting to like as much is the internal memory. Basically, say you forget your SD card, which I do all the time, the camera has built-in storage that allows you to take photos that just save directly to the camera. This is awesome when you inevitably forget your SD card, and it saved me quite a few times. One feature a lot of people talk about is snap focus. The snap focus feature is pretty cool because it essentially asks you what distance you want to focus on, and then it takes care of changing the camera settings to make sure it stays at that focus distance. This is great for street photography where you don't want to be staring at the screen for too long, and especially if you're taking photos of people, don't be creepy, but you can be super quick with it. Don't expect Sony level autofocus out of this little camera. It's definitely not terrible, but it's not good. This camera definitely rewards premeditated photos where you've sat and thought out the composition, or quick photos with the snap focus. Let's talk about how it feels to shoot with this camera. One thing I love about this camera is how direct everything is. There's no fluff. It's minimal in a way that feels intentional, and it doesn't feel like it's lacking anything. You've got all of the essential tools right at your fingertips, and the menu system is pretty straightforward. It's not flashy, and it gets the job done. Now, one thing worth mentioning is that the X version of this camera is a 40mm lens, while the non-X version is a 28mm lens. I opted for the 40mm because it's easier for me to compose tighter shots, and I was kind of lazy, but I love the 40mm length. You can go with either of them, and I've heard great things about both. Overall, the user experience of the camera is pretty great. It's minimal, it gets the job done, and it can slow down when you want to premeditate your shots, or it can speed up if you want to be snappy. This camera doesn't need much. It's supposed to be minimal, but there are a few things that can really improve the experience. First, we have a wrist strap. Keep it minimal and keep it secure. Extra batteries. This one feels pretty obvious. Not gonna elaborate on that one. External viewfinder. This camera does not have a viewfinder, so you just look at the screen on the back. Now, there are attachments that some people like using. I personally think they look really weird, so I don't use them. I don't miss them either. A little bonus shout out is my wife gifted me this long weekend sling. It's the sling I was talking about earlier, and I think it's perfect for this camera. It's big enough that you can pack the camera, extra batteries, your wallet, and your phone in there, and there's still plenty of room. So the long weekend pouch, I wish I got paid to say this, but it's pretty great, and it's held up really well. Again, none of these things are required to use the camera, and you definitely don't feel like you're missing them, but they're just great to have as an extra. After 10,000 photos, I can say this. The Ricoh GR IIIx is not perfect, but it's consistent, it's small, it's fun, and most importantly, it makes me want to take photos. And I would argue that at the end of the day, that is one of the most important things. If you're down to slow down a little bit or really utilize that snap focus, then I think it's pretty easy to get in the rhythm with it, and I really enjoy it. Let me know if you're thinking about picking one up or what your experience with the Ricoh has been. I will catch you in the next one, and other than that, toodaloo.